is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers.
Hey everyone, this is JamesmusPrime2798 here. I thought I would just drop in and say, hang on. That's better. Say, welcome back to JamesmusPrime2798 Q&A. This is Q&A number 16. So, alright, let's get down to some questions that you guys gave to me. Let's go. Let's get on with it. Alright, number 1. Do I plan on using Back to the Future characters in my parodies? Yes, I do. One day initially. I'm only going to use Marty McFly, Jennifer, and Dr. Emmett Brown because they're the three main characters and they're my favourite characters from Back to the Future and they're very good. Because to be honest, I forgot who plays Dr. Emmett Brown, but I do know that Marty McFly is performed by Michael J. Fox, who is the voice of Stuart Little, and of course Jennifer being performed by Claudia Wells, who played Julie McLean in the Herbie the Love Bug TV series, but I forgot who plays her in the last two movies, but they're alright. And they're good characters, and I will use them. I guarantee I will. Alright, number 2. What inspired my username on YouTube? Well, I got the idea for JamesmusPrime2798 on YouTube is because of my favourite Transformer, Optimus Prime. I thought it would be funny because when I was a kid, when I was playing Transformers with my friends, I called myself Jamesimus Prime as a joke. So basically I took Op out and put my name in front of a miss and then Jamesimus Prime. And it was just for a bit of fun. Yeah, but then in 2018 I was on YouTube at the time, still called the James S YouTube channel, but that name is retired now. And I decided to replace it with JamesmusPrime2798 because it's just a good number I put in, and 98 is the year I was born. So I'm now JamesmusPrime2798, and that name takes up less space in my titles, so that way I can do YouTube parodies with them. Yeah. But don't worry. I'll never forget the name, the James S YouTube channel, because that was my original name on YouTube. And it was the only name I could think of when I started my YouTube channel. But now, it's JamesmusPrime2798. Alright, number 3. When did I first see Mean Girls? I watched Mean Girls in the second year of COVID-19 in 2021. When I was 22, almost 23. It's a good movie. It came out about 20 years ago, when I was 6 years old. It's about a girl named Katie. She was homeschooled her whole life. Then her parents sent her to a school to socialise with other students. She became friends with some kids, but she joined a popular group of other girls called Regina, Gretchen, and Karen. They were a bit neutral or mean, namely Regina, because she's the main antagonist in the series. And she even setted Katie up several times. But however, Gretchen and Karen, they were just a bit neutral at times, but they were very good characters themselves. But Mean Girls has two of my favourite actresses in that movie, and that would be Lindsay Lohan. She played Maggie Payton from Herbie Fully Loaded, and there's Amanda Seyfried. She was Samantha Jackson in Ted, but they're both Katie and Karen in this one. But however, I might consider using those two together in my parodies as best friends or a duo. Yeah. And I have done a cast video on Mean Girls in case you've missed it. I'm using Maggie Payton as Katie, Jackie Burhark as Gretchen, Bethany Walker as Regina, but I'm going to replace her with Stacy from Sleepover because they're both main antagonists and they're quite mean. So Stacy will do for me just fine. And I got Samantha Jackson as Karen. And I will be doing the parody in 2026 for its 22nd year anniversary. And of course, it will be the year that Lindsay Lohan, aka Katie, is turning 40 that year. So I will be uploading that on the day she turns 40. Alright, number 4. Who is my favourite female character in The Dukes of Hazzard? It's Daisy Duke. She is the main female character in the whole series. She is the middle cousin of Bo and Luke. Basically, Luke's the eldest. Daisy is the second eldest, and then Bo's the youngest. So that's how it went. Daisy is kind-hearted. She is sexy. Pardon my French. She wears cut-off denim shorts, basically short shorts, which are nicknamed Daisy Dukes. Well, that's funny right there. Yeah, she works as a cocktail waitress at the Boar's Nest. She is the only cousin in the family that isn't on probation because in 1977, Bo, Luke, Daisy, and Uncle Jesse had made and transported illegal moonshine. Uncle Jesse made the moonshine, Daisy just loaded it up, and Bo and Luke ran it, basically delivered it. And they got charged for it, and Bo and Luke were put on probation for 5 years because Uncle Jesse signed a treaty with the US government that he will never make any more moonshine as long as Bo and Luke will stay out of jail. So the government agreed and gave the boys 5 years probation. Daisy always gets Bo and Luke out of trouble, especially the times where Cletus was writing Bo up a ticket for speeding, but her romanticness made Cletus get rid of the ticket. And Daisy is Enos's boyfriend as well, because Daisy has a great affection for Enos. She appears in every single episode of The Dukes of Hazzard except for To Catch a Duke. That episode just had Bo, Luke, and Uncle Jesse as the main Dukes, because in the start of that episode, Daisy went away to go see her Aunt Katie for the weekend. And she'll be back Monday. In an episode of Season 7, she plans to marry Enos, so that way Daisy and him can be married so Enos doesn't get accused for a crime he didn't commit, because two guys pointed guns at Enos and made him rob Boss Hogg's bank. Even though Boss Hogg told Enos to watch the bank, and those two crooks pointed a gun at Enos when Enos was reading a Bugs Bunny comic book. Yeah, in the reunion movie, they both planned to get married for real. At the end of the movie, when Bo and Luke won the race and Daisy was about to have a wedding until her ex-husband LD came in and Daisy couldn't get married. But she and Enos still remain as boyfriend and girlfriend, and she has a deep affection for Enos. So yeah, I've used Daisy a few times in my parodies. I've used her as herself, Peter Pan's cousin, in my Boduke Peter Pan, herself, Maggie and Ray Jr.'s cousin / Ray Sr.'s niece in my Herbie Fully Loaded parody, herself, Stan's first cousin in my South Park parody, herself, John's cousin in my Ted parodies, herself, Little John's cousin in my Robin Hood parody, herself, Greg's cousin in my V2 of the Wiggles parodies, herself, Barney's cousin in my Flintstone parody, herself, Coach Francis Malloy's cousin in my SWAT parody, herself, Brock's cousin in my Pokemon parody, and the Roadhouse waitress in my Sonic the Hedgehog parody. And yet to come, she'll be playing as Jessie Prescott in my Jessie parody and my Jessie Aloha Holidays parody. That will be the time I'll have Daisy as a full-on character role this time. Well, I was originally going to use her as Emily the Emerald Engine in my Thomas and Friends parody, but I decided not to. Oh, well, it's alright. Daisy is performed by Catherine Bach in the TV series and the reunion movies, and Jessica Simpson in the Dukes of Hazzard movie, and April Scott in the Dukes of Hazzard The Beginning. If they did a reboot of the Dukes of Hazzard, I think Mila Kunis, Ariel Winter, or Laura Morano would be perfect as Daisy. Yeah, I like Daisy. I also like Katie Lynn Johnson and Annette as well. They're both my second and third favourite female characters. Because Katie and Annette, they appear in the Dukes of Hazzard movie, and they're Bo and Luke's girlfriends. Katie was a close friend to the Duke family. Katie was in college in Atlanta. Bo and Luke went to visit her and see if she can get them into the labs at the university to find out what the corpse sample was that they took from Boss Hogg's safe. So she and her Australian roommate / best friend Annette agreed to help the boys. They went for a drive to the place, and Annette liked the General Lee and called him a she by mistake. Bo comments it's actually a he, because to be honest, the General Lee is a he. Bo always had a thing for Katie while they were in the Katie, because he said, "Oh, you're so pretty." While they were in the lab, Katie was at the door and showing off her sexiness to Luke, and Luke started to flirt with her, and then Bo was wondering what the hell was going on, but it wasn't anything. The next day when they were being chased, Katie tells Luke that she didn't have this much fun since they used to sneak off to the hayloft in his barn, and then started to flirt with him and reminded him about the times where he wanted him to make her wear those tight little outfits. This made Bo very cross at Luke, because it was supposed to be his time with Katie. Bo started arguing with Luke while being chased in the General Lee. Bo wanted Luke to apologize for stealing Katie, but Luke liked her too, but Bo liked her first. The girls wanted Bo to calm down, but he'll only will calm down if Luke apologizes, but Luke stubbornly refuses to. Then Bo jumps the General Lee onto the freeway, and then Luke apologizes and Bo accepts it and tells Luke that he'll take Annette as his girlfriend so he can have Katie, and then it was settled. The Duke boys dropped them off at Sheev's place because the job they were about to do was pretty dangerous, so they asked them to help Sheev get everyone to the courthouse, and they agreed. In the end of the movie, the girls began to fall in love with Bo and Luke, so they went out to a field in the General Lee. Luke and Katie were making out in the back seat, and that was passion with Bo in the front seat. And then they all got rudely interrupted by Luke's former girlfriend, Laurie Pullman. She had a shotgun in her hand, and Luke tells him, "Go, Bo, go!" And then Bo goes, "Luke, you man whore!" And then Laurie chases after them on foot with a shotgun. Yeah, Katie and Annette are performed by Nikki Griffin and Jackie Maxwell. They're two of my favourite actresses too. And I've used them a lot in my parodies as well. Well, I'll start off with Katie. I've used Katie as Sharon Marsh in my South Park Bigger, Longer and Uncut parody. Stacey Jones in my V2 of Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Herself, Human Rebecca in my Beauty and the Beast parody. Herself, Maid Marian and Lady Cluck's best friend in my Robin Hood parody. Herself, Greg's cousin-in-law in my V2 of the Wiggles. Herself, Barney's cousin-in-law in my Flintstones parody. Emily the Emerald Engine. Linda Malloy in my SWAT parody. Samantha Jackson in my Ted 2 parody. Holly in my Starsky and Hutch parody. And Princess Fiona as a human in my Gordon Shrek parody. And yet to come, she'll be playing as Dr. Elizabeth Clay in my Roadhouse parody. Herself, Jessie's best friend in my Jessie parody and my Jessie Aloha Holidays parody. Herself, Rusty and Audrey's cousin-in-law in my Vacation parody. Alice in my Step Brothers parody. Herself in my Jungle Book V2 parody. Herself in my Smokey and the Bandit parody. Herself in my Fireman Sam parody. Emily in my Elf parody, and Sarah in my Postman Pat parody. As for Annette, I've used her as herself, Randy's cousin-in-law in my South Park parody, Feather Duster as a human in my Beauty and the Beast parody, Lady Cluck in my Robin Hood parody, herself, Greg's wife in my Wiggles V2 parodies, Betty Rubble in my Flintstones parody, Emily the Emerald Engine in my Thomas and Friends parody. Yeah, she and Katie are both sharing the role of Emily. Herself, Coach Francis Malloy's cousin-in-law in my SWAT parody. Herself, John, Ted and Samantha's friend in my Ted 2 parody. And Stacy in my Starsky and Hutch parody. And yet to come, she'll be playing as herself, Elizabeth's best friend in my Roadhouse parody. Debbie Griswold in my Vacation parody. Herself, Human Emily and Gordon 2 Shrek 2. Herself in my Jungle Book 2 V3 parody. Carrie/Frog in my Smokey and the Bandit parody. Herself in my Fireman Sam parody. Herself in my Elf parody. And herself in my Postman Pat parody. Alright. Number 5. Why do you cast the live action Scooby-Doo over the animated now? Well, I'm not. Basically, I like them both, okay? I'm just using them randomly sometimes. Sometimes I'll use the live action Scooby-Doo. Sometimes I'll use the animated. Because, to be honest, I like them both equally. Because the cartoon one has been around for over 55 years now. And the live action movies have been around for over 22 years. And of course, I do like them equally. And I just feel like using the live actions for a little while. And I will be using the animated ones as well. And that goes for me with Sonic as well. Alright. Number 6. Who is my favourite female character in The Simpsons? It's Lisa Simpson. I like Lisa. She is the middle child of the Simpson family, and she is really smart. And she wears an orange dress, and orange shoes, and a pearl necklace. She does things right and knows what's best for everyone. She does get annoyed at Bart's pranks and stupidity at times, and Homer as well. She doesn't really eat meat like her family. She looks like Marge as a kid without the long blue hair. She acts as Homer's conscience and ear to listen, and she's more likely a well-developed character. And I do remember in one episode, she chose not to eat meat and just stand as a vegetarian. She stands up for the animals' rights. She ruins Homer's barbecue by using his lawnmower to push the pig on the spit out of the way. Homer and Lisa were mad at each other, and then Lisa runs away from home. She was told by Apu, as well as Paul McCartney and his wife Linda, that she can't judge a person whether they're different or not, whether they are meat eaters or non-meat eaters. So Lisa felt bad, and she and Homer make up for each other and realise that they can't judge each other for who they are. And I do remember in one episode she made a centerpiece for Thanksgiving, but it got burnt by Bart because they were fighting over whether they put the centerpiece on or even the Thanksgiving turkey. But there was too much food on the table due to Marge's cooking and Patty and Selma's bringing extra food. Bart and Lisa were playing tug-of-war with it, and then Bart flips it and it lands in the fireplace, and Lisa tries to retrieve the centerpiece, but it was too late. It was burnt up. She took her anger out on Bart and was beating him up, says, "Bart, you don't even care! You don't even care!" And Homer and Marge broke up the fight, and then Lisa runs upstairs crying her eyes out. Homer and Marge grounded Bart for ruining Thanksgiving and being selfish to Lisa. When Bart was in his room, he runs away to teach his family a lesson. But in the end, he comes home, and he was up on the roof, found some of his old toys that he left up there. Lisa found him, and she tells Bart to find a deep spot inside to find out how much he really upset Lisa. And then Bart looks for a deep spot, and he apologizes to her, and Lisa forgives him. She hugs him and then gives him a kiss on the cheek. Homer and Marge were both very, very impressed. And then Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, and Maggie all sat around the kitchen room table for a late night Thanksgiving dinner with turkey sandwiches. And this time it was just all of them together. And Bart has learned his lesson not to do that to Lisa ever again. And in the Simpsons movie, Lisa had pointed out the pollution in Lake Springfield, but nobody cared or listened to her about it, except for one boy named Colin, who's Irish. He listens to Lisa and he cares about the environment as well. So they both created an organisation to clean up the lake in Springfield and have it barricaded off, but Homer, on the other hand, ignores Marge about it and takes the pig crap silo that he built. He was meant to take it to the waste management, but when he got a phone call from Lenny saying that the donut store has been shut down and they're giving out free donuts, Homer quickly rushes to Lake Springfield to get rid of the silo and dump it in, and then runs away to get a free donut. And he thought that was more important than getting rid of the silo properly. And then the lake went black as well. And then Lisa takes her anger out on Homer when the angry mob comes, and she calls Homer a monster for his selfish behaviour. Yeah, I like Lisa, and I have used Lisa a few times in my parodies. I've used her as Karen in my Frosty the Snowman parody, herself Lightning McQueen's sister in my Cars parodies, Fern Arable in my Charlotte's Web parody, herself Maggie and Ray Jr.'s sister / Ray Sr.'s daughter in my Herbie Fully Loaded parody, Meg Griffin in my Family Guy and Then There Were Fewer parody, herself Bo's sister / Luke and Daisy's cousin in my Dukes of Hazzard movie parody, Pearl Krabs in my SpongeBob SquarePants parody, herself Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus's daughter in my Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer parody, herself Cartman's sister in my South Park parody, herself Fred and Wilma's daughter and Pebbles' sister in my Flintstones parody, Sarah in my Polar Express parody, and Audrey Griswold in my National Lampoon's Vacation parody. And yet to come, she'll be playing as herself Bertram's daughter in my Jessie parodies and Jessie Aloha Holidays parody, herself Julie and Ren's sister / Jay and Gabby's youngest daughter in my Sleepover parody, and herself Casper's sister as a human in my Casper parody. Yeah, I like Lisa, and I do like Marge as well. She's my second favourite character. She is the mum of the family, and she is Homer's wife and soulmate, and the love of his life. Marge is kind-hearted. She loves her husband and kids all together. She always puts her kids first whenever they're in a situation. She does help Homer out with other things, and she met Homer as a teenager when they were in high school. Well, basically at camp in a flashback episode when they were really children. And then they had their first kiss. She and Homer have been married for over 11 years, and she does get annoyed at Homer over other few things. Sometimes she forgives him as time goes on. And in one episode, Bart took a photo of Homer dancing with a stripper at his mate's bachelor party. He caught him red-handed and posted the picture everywhere, and Marge saw the photo, and she thinks Homer was choosing Princess Casimir over Marge, but no. Homer didn't know how that could have happened. She throws him out of the house. Homer did come back and apologize to Marge, and was asked to take Bart to meet this stripper to teach Bart about a few things about adults on women. And in the end, she forgives Homer, and he and Marge went back together. Marge has two sisters named Patty and Selma. They smoke a lot, and they have a grudge against Homer. Well, they're basically jealous of him because he and Marge are together. Marge has nothing against Homer at all, except for the times when they have a fight. I've used Marge a lot in my parodies. I've used her as the Indian chief's wife in Bo Duke Peter Pan, herself Lightning McQueen's mother in my Cars parody, Mrs. Arable in my Charlotte's Web parody, Sally in my Herbie Fully Loaded parody, Lois Griffin in my Family Guy parody, herself Bo's mum, Luke and Daisy's aunt / Uncle Jesse's sister-in-law in my Dukes of Hazzard parodies, Mrs. Claus in my Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer parody, Leanne Cartman in my South Park parody, Mrs. Potts as a human in my Beauty and the Beast parody, Wilma Flintstone in my Flintstones parody, Hero Boy's mother in my Polar Express parody, and Ellen Griswold in my National Lampoon's Vacation parody. And yet to come, she'll be playing as herself, Bertram's wife in my Jessie parodies, Gabby in my Sleepover parodies, and herself, Casper's mother as a human in my Casper parody. Oh, and hang on, I do have something to show you guys too. Sorry about the edit there, I just went to get something because I do have two plushies of Marge and Lisa right here. Yeah, I got these two from Universal Studios when I went to America. Lisa looks very accurate. Marge looks pretty good. Yeah, and I do have Homer and Maggie, but I don't have Bart, unfortunately. But I will find Bart sooner or later. Here, let me just put these down over here. Alright, number 7. What parodies do I have planned for 2026? The parodies I've got planned for 2026 are... Well, what I've got at the moment for the time being, until I change it, is I've got Herbie Little, Stuart Little, The Land Before Time 6, The Secret of the Saurus Rock, JamesmusPrime2798, Pokemon the Movie 2000, JamesmusPrime2798, Gordon the Third, Shrek the Third, Xander McCormick's Day Off, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Top Gun, JamesmusPrime2798, Mean Girls, JamesmusPrime2798, Characters Planes, Hotel Transylvania, JamesmusPrime2798. I'm going to do that for Adam Sandler's 60th birthday. The Swap V2, JamesmusPrime2798. Gordon the Halls, Shrek the Halls. That's going to be my Christmas parody for that year as well. And I got Thomas Bumblebee as well because I'm doing that for its 8th anniversary. And also it's going to be and it's also for Haley Steinfeld, aka Charlie Watson's 30th birthday. Yeah. Alright, number 8. Have I ever seen Cobra Kai? Yes, I have seen Cobra Kai. It's a sequel to the original Karate Kid movies from 40 years ago. Not the most recent Karate Kid movie with Jaden Smith, who is Will Smith's son in real life. It's all a sequel to those particular movies. It's a whole new generation of teenagers doing karate, and they do have two different karate groups battling against each other. The show has two of my favourite celebrities. That would be Peyton List and Jacob Bertram. They both play as good/neutral characters in this one, in Cobra Kai, because Basically, they were in the swap together as Ellie O'Brien and Jack Malloy, basically being best friends and yet to be future step siblings. Because that's what Cobra Kai and the swap have in common. Alright, number 9. Will I ever make Lightning McQueen and Friends, Thomas and Friends, The Adventure Begins? Yes, I will be. I'm going to be doing it next year for its 10th anniversary. And to honour the 80th anniversary of the Railway series. And the 41st anniversary of Thomas and Friends, the show. Yes, that's on the list for next year for my YouTube parodies as well. And it will also to honour the memory of the Reverend W. Audrey, aka the writer of the Railway series and the creator of Thomas, who passed away in 1997. And if he was still alive today, he would have been 113 years old. Yeah. Alright, number 10. Would I ever do a Back to the Future parody? I'll think about it if I do one. But I haven't figured out the cast yet, but I do know who I have as the main cast. I got Ash Ketchum as Marty McFly, Serena or Dawn as Jennifer, and Professor Oak as Dr. Emmett Brown, but I'll think about the rest. Okay, number 11. I know I've answered this before. This is the second time I'll answer it. Who is my favourite Super Mario character? It's Yoshi. Yoshi! He's a green dinosaur. He is best friends with Mario, Luigi, Princess Toadstool, and a few others. And also Utar. He is a green dinosaur. He has a red and white shell on his back, orange spikes going up on his head, and he also wears brown boots. He also has a funny voice, and he always appears in the video games and the TV series, but he does not appear in the most recent Super Mario film called the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Yeah. And he does help Mario, Luigi, and Princess Toadstool fight against King Koopa and his kids. Yeah, I don't need to go over the other things, but I've done it already. But I have used... The thing about Yoshi, though, is that I do have him as Oliver the Great Western Engine in my Thomas and Friends parody because they both wear green. And they both have something in common. They were both found by Luigi and Douglas. Basically, in Thomas, Douglas was taking a midnight goods train to a station at a faraway part of Sodor where only the diesels work. When he was leaving, he hears a hiss of steam, and he finds Oliver in his brake van Toad. And his coach Isabel, but that's in the Railway series, basically. And in Mario, when Luigi found Yoshi in a flashback in an episode called Mama Luigi, Luigi fell underground on some rocks near some lava, and he hit some blocks for some powers, and he finds an egg with spots on it. And it was Yoshi. He was a baby, and he called Luigi Mama. And Yoshi thought it was funny, but Luigi said, "Yeah, but I didn't think it was so funny." Yeah, and that's what Douglas, Oliver, Luigi, and Yoshi have in common. Yeah. And I have used Yoshi a few times in my parodies. I've used him as one of the magicians in my V1 of the Wiggles movie, one of the Three Blind Mice in my Henry Shrek parodies, Tickles in my Land Before Time 4 parody, Oliver the Great Western Engine in my Thomas and Friends parody, Mew in my Pokemon the First Movie parody, and Gingy in my Gordon Shrek parody. I've forgotten who is yet to become these, but they'll be announced sooner or later. I do like Yoshi, and I do like Mario and Luigi as well. They're both my second and third favourite characters. They're both plumbers. They do appear a lot in their video games and the cartoon TV series and their movie called the Super Mario Bros. Movie from 2023. I saw that movie last year, and it's a good movie. And I am planning to do a parody on it called the Super Phineas Bros. Movies. And I got Phineas as Mario and Ferb as Luigi. Yeah, because of their colours. Yeah, and I've used Mario and Luigi a few times in my parodies. I've used them as Cecil and Jimbo the Juggler in my V1 of the Wiggles movie. The other two Three Blind Mice in my Henry Shrek parodies. The French Policeman and the Waiter in my Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo parody. Donald and Douglas in my Thomas and Friends parody. Smokey and Steamer in my Polar Express parody, and I did use Luigi as Captain Archibald Witwicky in my Transformers parody. Yeah, and yet to come, they'll both be playing as 3801's driver and fireman in my Steam Train Passes parody, which I will be doing this year after I do my sleepover parody, because this year is the 50th anniversary of the Steam Train Passes. It does feature 3801, and it's a 20-minute film as well. Yeah. Okay, number 12. Who is my favourite... I know I've answered this before, but I'll answer it again. Who is my favourite Scooby-Doo character? It's Scooby-Doo. He's a Great Dane. He's a talking dog. Rare. His catchphrases are Rare and Scooby-Dooby-Doo. He is best friends with Shaggy, and he is his dog as well, and he's also friends with Fred, Daphne, and Velma. He helps them solve mysteries. He and Shaggy have a weakness for food because they both have big appetites and they both get scared a lot. Because that's what they are, and they're both like best friends. I don't need to go over the other things, but I've done that already. And I do like Scooby, how he looks like in the cartoon series and the live-action movies. I've used Scooby-Doo a few times in my parodies. I've used him as Mutt in my Thomas and the Magic Railroad parodies, both V1 and V3. Footstool is a dog in my Beauty and the Beast parody. Himself, Jack, Gunner, Striker, and Coach Francis's dog in my SWAT parody. Mojo in my Transformers parody. Wags the dog in my V2 of the Wiggles movie parody. And the Wiggles Wiggly Safari. And Hercules in my Sandlot parody. Sorry. I've just been talking too much. And yet to come, he will be playing as himself, Toby's dog in my Gordon 2 Shrek 2 parody. Next year, Gromit, my Wallace and Gromit parody. And himself, Greg's dog / best friend in my V3 of the Wiggles movie parody. And himself, Bo's dog in my V3 of the Dukes of Hazzard movie. Yeah, I like Scooby-Doo and I like Shaggy as well. Here's my second favourite character. He is really tall. He has fuzzy hair. You know, I used to have long hair, but don't worry, it's coming back. And he has chin whiskers on his chin. He wears a green shirt and brown jeans. Oh, yeah, I'm wearing a green t-shirt and brown pants. Yeah, I'm wearing the same clothes as Shaggy in this video. Yeah. That's all right. Yeah. And he and Scooby are best friends, and I don't need to go over that because I've done that with Scooby, but I have used Shaggy a few times in my parodies. I've used him as one of the producers in my 101 Dalmatians 2 parody, Gunnar Malloy in my SWAT parody, Wade Whipple in my Sonic the Hedgehog parody, and Junior in my V3 of Thomas and the Magic Railroad. And yet to come, he'll be playing as Wallace in my Wallace and Gromit parody, Greg in my V3 of the Wiggles movie parody, Bo Duke in my V3 of the Dukes of Hazzard movie, Sam Moran in my Hot Potato, the Story of the Wiggles parody, Leo in my That 70s Show parody, Zinni in my Dinosaur parody, and Buddy the Elf in my Elf parody. Alright, number 13. I know I've answered this twice, but I'm going to answer it again. What V3 parodies am I going to do? Well, the V3 parodies I've done so far are the Jungle Book V3, JamesimusPrime2798, and Stan Marsh in the Magic Park, Thomas and the Magic Railroad. And the ones I have yet to come are Stan and Friends, Thomas and Friends, Hero of the Rails, The Adventure Begins, and Day of the Diesels, The Wiggles movie V3, JamesimusPrime2798, The Dukes of Hazzard movie V3, JamesimusPrime2798, Sonic Pan, Peter Pan, and there is one more V3 I haven't announced yet. That would be the Swap V3, JamesimusPrime2798. I don't know who to use as Ellie or Jack or any of the other characters yet, but please comment down below who do you think I should use as them. Just give me some ideas. And if it works, I will consider using them. So guys, that's all the questions I have answered for you. If you have any more questions you want to ask me, go ahead. I'm all ears. But I'd like you to ask me questions about my YouTube parodies or even my vlog series or even a few others. Alright? So guys, I want to just to subscribe to my channel, watch all my YouTube parodies and my vlog series I've done from 2019 onwards. And also, look forward to my upcoming YouTube parody, Transformers Age of Extinction, Transformers Age of Extinction. So you guys, thank you. I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been JamesimusPrime2798. Till all are one. And I will talk to you later. And I am gone.